Okay, so last week we were talking about acceleration, how quickly speed changes. I still haven't learned how to spell acceleration in Finnish. One day I will. Okay, so had we talked about how fast you go 10 seconds after jumping out of an aeroplane?
Wouldn't that be the same thing? Like,
like 100 meters. It depends on the because there's the air resistance.
One at a time, one at a time. Lost my pen now. Useless, Karen. You're useless. There it is.
Under the keyboard, or was it doing under the keyboard?
Hiding. It likes to play games with me. So you jump off a cliff or out of an aeroplane. So you start off at 0 meters per second, and then 1 second later your speed is
10.
10 meters per second.
10 meters per second.
9.8.
Or 9.8 meters per second, if we're going to be precise. So 1 second later it is
20.
20.
Wait, what? 1 second.
No, 19.
1 second later.
Oh,
yeah,
okay.
all right. 1 second later.
10 meters per second.
Yeah. And 2 seconds. Sorry, 3 seconds from the start, it will be 30 meters per second. 10 seconds from the start, it will be 100 meters per second.
10 seconds from the start, it would be 98 meters a second.
Yes, all right. Stop being pedantic. My Thomas tolerance is actually now lower than my Karthik tolerance. Be very proud. Okay, so the acceleration due to gravity will get you covering in 10 seconds more than Usain Bolt can. Sorry, after 10 seconds, you'll be going the distance Usain Bolt can go in 1 second. So it's very, very, very fast. In practice, what will happen is that you'll actually get slowed down by the air resistance. Yeah. So let's, what should we have the title? We'll have gravity and free fall.
Are you ready to
So we're not gonna have any more experiments this year.
I might be planning one on gravity and free fall with somebody.
Oh.
Me or Carter?
Me.
Both.
You at the same time.
Do two students fall at the same time?
Which
Galileo's famous experiment. Okay. So objects falling to Earth accelerate at about 10 meters per second squared, but air resistance will slow them. Are you actually a Manchester United supporter?
Yes.
Good. Well, I then have to thank your team for beating Chelsea at the weekend.
Oh.
Did you watch the match
Oh,
yesterday?
but you're not registered fan.
I don't follow.
Between Real Madrid and Bayern Munich.
No.
It was
We don't watch Bayern Munich, we watch the BPL.
Who won? Who won? Who won?
Real Madrid 4-2.
We watch a
Wait,
thing
what?
called the BPL, which is
No,
called
they
real
had like
football.
2 games, like when Real Madrid was playing in Germany and when.
So who's gone through?
Well, when they were playing in Germany, it was 2-1.
So we have a team.
Real Madrid
And then-
goes through.
Yeah.
No, I would always support the German team usually.
I don't know why
Why
I
would you-
usually don't like German teams.
Hey, that's a bit rude.
Yeah,
No, but I
hey,
just-
Byron here
every
was
Now
like-
we're a German member of the class.
No, but no, it's not about that. It's not about that. Whoever is German. Oh, sorry. I didn't see you, but like I just had that thing after the 2014 World Cup that I don't like to watch Germany play.
I'm a Brit. How many times have the English been knocked out on penalties in the semi-final by the German national
Twice.
team? At
3
least.
They were knocked out by an airplane.
Wow.
I don't remember, but they died in a cut.
Well, that was Man
Oh, that was
Man
United.
United.
Yeah, that was Man
And it was in Germany.
That's probably the reason.
I got to admit, it may not be the best looking football, but German football is
The German football is very good because they
I prefer
very
British.
strict.
British. Well,
Hey, where was football even made? Where was it founded?
It's not
like?
football, it's
Was it
soccer.
founded in England?
No, football was kind of created during like the Olympics when the first Olympics started.
Texas, rubbish.
Well, it is a sort of football. Football started with the actual name football.
Football was started in Mongolia by Genghis Khan kicking the heads around of the people he'd killed.
Wow.
Okay.
Really?
Yeah, I'll try to-
No, I just made it up, but you're going to remember that, and it's going to become an urban myth now. Right, velocity time. Sorry, my bad, I mentioned football. Right, velocity time. So, the person jumps out of the aeroplane or falls off the tower. No, they start off with 0, they accelerate, but then their speed levels off.
Because they hit the ground.
No, their speed is 0 when they hit the ground, imbecile.
Or then they just go through the ground.
No, they won't go through the ground.
But what if it's soft soil?
Now, at the top, this is called terminal
Terminal velocity.
velocity.
Turbulence.
No, it's not a terminal disease. And in Finnish,
They lost.
A.
The speed that you are going at the border of Russia, running away from
You might be speeding up at that point. Okay, and the terminal velocity will depend upon the size, depends upon your surface area, or shape, and your velocity. I know that's weird, your velocity depends on your velocity, but it does, because actually the air resistance depends on your velocity. Okay,
Your velocity. Your velocity.
so if you are going to be crazy and jump out of an aeroplane,
Yes, skydiving.
skydiving, how are you going to get your fastest terminal velocity?
You go like straight down.
You-
and, like,
Yeah,
have
head
these-
first.
It's
I'm
like-
very good at that.
Diving like that.
That's why they always go like this to make them slow down a little.
Yeah.
Yeah, it doesn't really make much difference.
It actually does,
Usually
though.
a parachute works.
Yeah, but isn't
better.
it just scary jumping out like of an everything? Just
You know that that's why
I
they
wanna
have
do
two
it, though.
people. One which has for
No,
sure.
some people have alone.
Yeah, but well,
With their
they're
pros.
if they're parachute.
Hey, no, but I mean, isn't
Ew.
it cold up
They're
there?
dead.
Wait, I have a
Yes,
question.
it's cold up there.
Yeah, but and then they just wear t-shirts. Some people just.
They
wear
don't go in
t-shirts.
t-shirts. They wear like
No,
really thin.
they're-
They're like a really thin like. Skinny
No, but there were like people.
Yeah,
Like,
but they don't do it. No sane person will go in a t-shirt.
You could go in-
Boys, be quiet. Yeah.
I don't know, this is a random question. What happens after class?
You will go straight through it. It's water vapor.
Yeah.
It's not.
So there'll be
It's
one
like
of
snow,
those-
yeah.
Cold, your hands will get wet.
Yeah, it's not something you can like fall on top of.
Yeah.
Unless it's ice. You won't bounce. Then it's just gonna fall
That's what
down.
it thought it is.
Wait, I'm not completely sure. What does it say after
The size.
the
The size. Sorry, that is a Z. Don't you know?
That looks like a 7 with a small like.
Yes.
That looks like the Z that we write in Spanish.
What is that? Is that what
It's the way
It's TH sound in Spanish.
That's how I do my Zs,
Yeah,
because my
the way you're
twos
doing
look
it.
like that, which look like
It's like the
Zs.
letter. I'm not letter. Number 7. Sometimes it has a line. Sometimes it doesn't.
It's supposed to have a
Yeah, but
line.
then-
Yes, like that.
I have
It's
never-
not supposed to have a line.
It doesn't have to have a line. People
It
just
doesn't have
put
to
it.
have. Well,
Supposed
what
to
about
have.
Finnish numbers?
Weird.
I'm sorry, what is that?
Yeah.
What is
That looks like.
It's like a mix between a
looks
9
like
and a
Hey, if
4.
you turn it like 90 degrees, you actually look. It looks like a 5.
Instead of 90 degrees, it
Or,
looks like an
or
apple.
an H if you turn it.
I
Like
believe it's meant to be a 4, isn't it?
No, it could also be a 5.
Or a 9. Or an S. Or a...
Right, okay, so ignoring that rubbish. And it had very politely said your handwriting's appalling. So, what next? What next? Okay, oh yeah, I forgot to tell you the good news or the bad news?
Bad.
Bad
oh,
news.
both.
Bad news first, and then you could.
Bad news first
I'm
is
gonna
your
fall.
test is 2 lessons away.
Next.
The good news is there's no lesson next week.
Why?
How is that good news?
How is that
I
bad
wanna
news?
know.
Yeah.
Well, it's bad
news.
news. Right, yeah, you've got this lesson,
Bad news, the bad news.
then no lesson next week, then you've got another lesson, and then you've got the test.
Oh, no.
Oh,
So-
so like 3 weeks.
Yeah.
We're gonna have like a revision lesson or something else.
We won't have time.
What criteria?
It's close to
Aye.
right?
Knowledge.
Close.
Close book. Okay, so on the moon,
On the moon.
G is 1.6 meters per second squared. So,
How much is it on Earth?
Oh my god, we
okay,
Yeah, I know, yeah.
9.8.
around.
My dad was giving me a hard time about it.
Maybe you should search this on Google and see the exact value.
it depends where you are.
What if you're in Mongolia?
It's 9.81 in general, but it depends how high up you are, your altitude, like above the ground, and it depends on your latitude, how far
What
north
if you're on Mongolia?
I don't know
I'm
the
picking
acceleration
this.
due to gravity in Mongolia exactly. I am sorry. My bad. Yeah.
I have this weird question that I've always been wondering
Okay,
about.
we'll have one more weird question. Yeah.
No, okay, this is Earth, like imagine, and then you're in
Wow,
space,
nice
and you can
Earth.
just. Okay, give it.
Yes.
So then this is a spaceship,
Earth
and
is pretty small.
what if you went like here, and then
Tiny.
you went, went inside the atmosphere? Like, are you gonna land like this, or what happens?
How's
You're-
how's the spaceship approaching again?
Like, okay, for example, Earth is turning like this, and then you go from under here, and then you enter.
You're
like here.
facing it like.
Yeah,
you
but so
upwards.
when you're land, how are you gonna land? 'Cause-
Depends on your angle how you land. Or actually, no.
That's what he's asking.
Yeah.
Look at it on this side. You're coming in.
Right, hang on.
A spaceship coming in
Thomas,
like
be
that.
quiet. I get paid for doing this job.
I play Kerbal Space Program. I know how rockets work.
Right, so it's coming like that.
Yeah, and it's landing like exactly like this.
Like straight.
Because when you're going now, you're entering where there is like gravity and everything. So are you gonna fall like the same way, or do you just something?
Yeah,
happens?
because gravity is pulling along imaginary lines right to the center of the Earth. So if you are going like that,
No, but I'm talking about the downside.
It doesn't matter.
look,
It doesn't
people in
matter.
Australia don't fall off.
I'm pretty
Yeah, no, it's the
It looks
same.
crazy.
It's the same. It will.
No,
it
but
will-
the people inside the spaceship, like when they
How do
they
the people
go-
inside the spaceship?
Yeah, like how do they just like okay when they how
They
do
have
they
seat
feel
belts.
it like
That's where
It's
Michael Bay comes in.
That's where seatbelts come in.
That's where Michael Bay comes in. Imagine like this. He's like going on.
Hey, listen, I'm trying to understand what he's asking.
because okay for example you're basically like going like this in your spaceship like to Antarctica And then when you enter the atmosphere, are you like gonna be the same way? 'Cause
No.
you're-
You will be, your body will be pulled down towards whatever part of the spaceship is closest to the surface of the Earth.
So you'll just go like.
Yeah, yeah. Ed, Monica,
Huh?
did you have a question, comment? Oh, sure, okay. Right. So if you have got a lower acceleration due to gravity, like on the moon, you've still got some gravity. Otherwise, they wouldn't have walked on the surface of the moon, or the hammer and feather wouldn't have been pulled to the center of the moon. But you've got less acceleration due to gravity. So when you walk, our muscles, perfect, which are used to coping with gravity of about 10 meters per second squared, when you push down on the ground to move away from it, then actually you're going to bounce more because your muscles are so strong that actually this is 1/7 of the Earth's gravity. You could jump 7 times higher.
And this is why I say Superman can do all those things, because the gravity on Krypton was so much higher. It's physics.
No, he could do Oh, he grew up with.
Yeah.
Right, okay, yeah.
Because he would have grown up with the gravity, and now he
Yeah.
can go somewhere else.
So with our bodies, we can jump about 7 times higher.
So if we go to like an alien planet and there's aliens there, could we like get superpowers and just like keep them like and we like just beat them and
No, because they
It
have
depends.
Not necessarily.
Now,
So it depends if they have a higher, if the planet has a higher gravity or lower gravity.
They have higher than it's like we're just stuck to the ground.
Yeah.
yes, what would creatures who have grown up in higher gravity actually be like, do you think?
What if creatures
Stronger
with
physically.
higher
They
gravity
have to be physically stronger.
Yeah.
Because they.
So given that there are limits to strength, like bone is only a certain strength.
But when they develop like certain types of different type of bone to suit what the conditions that they're living.
They'd have to develop very different bone structures, even
Yes.
different types of
Iron.
bone. Or, yeah,
Is it true that like if you in space you age slower?
sort of. Sort of. What would you think they'd be very tall? These people who grew up on higher gravity?
No.
No, they wouldn't be very tall.
Because
Think about your heart
Yeah.
pumping blood.
Or then the heart would get used to it, and then they would grow. That could explain why people get taller over time. Comparing to
No, because like the spine would pretty much like if you have like if there's more gravity.
Maybe
the
you
spine
listen
won't
to a
even
video.
grow.
No, not Vsauce.
What do you mean not Vsauce?
I like Vsauce.
Right now. .com tells us that the answer is 6. Ever since the first person reached outer space 52 years ago, more than 500 humans have left Earth, and they've gone as far as the moon, an impressive distance. I mean, space stations, which we use in outer space today, are way cool, but to scale, they only orbit about this far away from Earth, whereas the moon, where Apollo astronauts went, is way out here. For the last 12 years, there has been a continuous and uninterrupted presence of humans living in space. Different people at different times ever since November of 2001. But so far, all of us, every human who has ever existed, was born right here on Earth. Of course, Earth is a giant collection of matter that got together in space, held together by its own gravity, so technically we were all born in space. But I want to talk about outer space, What is our relation to it and within it? How suited is our biology for the larger universe we were born into? More specifically, if you were born and raised beyond Earth, what would you look like?
So, if you were born in lower gravity, but still some gravity, what might you grow up
I wish I was there.
to be like? Lower gravity.
Astronauts get taller.
So a baby's born on the moon or on Mars. Lower gravity. Taller, yeah?
Less strong.
Maybe you
Yeah, you
you
would
wouldn't
lose
have to be
muscle.
so strong. You'd have to work out more to get to be the same strength. My goodness, cheerleading could be quite a good sport. Throw someone up and they go a long way up. Yeah?
I never come down.
Yeah.
Parkour would be
Okay.
pretty good on
Parkour would be amazing.
Oh,
Yeah.
I would love to try.
Yeah. You couldn't just
I already do parkour. It's not on the moon. Quad flip.
I'd do like a 20 billion for the.
Okay, so what if you grew up in zero gravity?
Isn't that called a vacuum?
No, not necessarily.
No. I think you can create a vacuum. I was able to create a vacuum.
How are you gonna
by making
eat?
Xboxes.
You're gonna eat pills.
Sci-fi stories.
You wouldn't eat because the food.
How many of you have ever tried eating upside down?
It's impossible.
No, it's not.
It's not impossible, it's difficult.
No, it doesn't.
Yeah, it does.
It doesn't. It doesn't.
Because like, think about it, if you eat,
Like,
with
I
zero
drink water
gravity,
upside
the
down.
food doesn't even go down because there's no gravity to take the food down.
No, it's your throat that takes it down.
You actually are able to force food down, but it is really, really
I've
difficult because you have got muscles.
Yeah, it's the muscles
Yeah,
that take it
It's
down.
muscle movement. So otherwise, if you're on the International Space Station where there is zero gravity, not because it's not got any, but there is zero gravity, we'll explain that later. If you were on the International Space Station with zero gravity, you must be able to eat or you'd die. So yeah, you can eat in zero gravity. But go to the toilet. We do rely on gravity to pull everything away from our
Oh,
body.
so when you pee, it's gonna go up now.
No.
No, wait. Yeah, no.
You-
Never mind.
Liquids in space are very, 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 very strange.
Chris Hemsworth. No.
And
It's Chris Hadfield.
don't know if you've seen this one.
The question is, if you get a cloth dripping wet without gravity and you wring it out, what's going to happen? What will happen to a wrung out cloth? So,
Okay, because we couldn't show him go to the toilet. Because it would just be wrong. But liquids in space.
Oh,
that's
if
Have
heavy
what-
use
Have
equipment
you
will
seen
share on
this?
board the space station. We might have the coolest washcloths ever here on the space station. I'm going to show you. Here's one of our washcloths. And it's packed it. It's put down into this little tiny hockey puck so that it saves space. But when you open up a hockey puck
Thanks, you spoiled it.
and you pull out your washcloth,
That looks so cool.
this is the one I'm going to use for the experiment today. And so when you open up your hockey puck and turn it into a washcloth, it was compressed in a great big vise somewhere. Okay, so here's my washcloth, like a magic trick. And now I'm going to get this soaking wet, and then we're going to see what will happen when we wring it out. Merritt and Kendra suggested that I dip this in a bag, but bags don't hold water in space. So instead, I filled a water bag. This has drinking water in it. And I'm going to squirt a bunch of water into this washcloth.
Yeah.
It's like you can like punch it and like go like meld it. I am the water bender.
So here's a soaking wet washcloth. Get the microphone so you can hear me while I'm talking. And now let's start wringing it
See
out.
those dots, those
Yeah,
little bubbles that
water
are flying off?
There in
It's
the water.
really wet.
Oh my god.
Oh my god.
So you basically can't see.
Wow.
It doesn't fall, it just stays there.
That would happen. That should happen to your face if you stayed inside your body.
It's becoming a tube of water.
That's cool.
The water's all over my hands. In fact, it rings out of the cloth
I am the
into my
water.
hands.
You won't get
If I
wet
let
with
go of
this.
the cloth carefully,
I am the waterbender.
the water sort of doesn't stick to my hand.
The microphone is.
Okay, so the experiment worked beautifully. And the answer to the question is the water squeezes out of the cloth. And then because of the surface tension of the water, it actually runs along the surface of the cloth and then up into my hand, almost like you had Jell-O on your hands or gel in your hand, and it'll just stay there. Wonderful moisturizer in my hands. And the cloth doesn't really unravel itself. It just stays there floating like a dog's chew toy, soaking wet. Great experiment, worked perfectly.
Okay,
Just do like this.
now,
So,
the
do
time
astronauts
if
even shower in space?
I don't think they.
you don't,
They can make wet
You have-
washcloths and go.
it's usually dry shampoo and things like that. Now, if you produce a liquid like you sneeze or you're peeing in space, everything sprays out in all sorts of directions. So actually, you've got to. You saw how slowly he moved. He is incredibly practiced. He spent probably about a year in space in total, various times, and if you just produce a jet of liquid, it's going to cause a huge, great mess. So yeah, you actually have to get into a little machine with a vacuum, and the vacuum allows the liquid to go in a particular direction. It steers in a particular direction, and then the urine is actually recycled.
Recycle.
To what?
Yeah, the water is taken away from it.
To what?
The water gets recycled to drinking water. Does in most cities as well.
Yeah, that's true. I'm ready now, I was like,
Yeah.
I don't want to drink water anymore.
Not in Oulu,
Yeah,
actually. The stuff that goes down the toilets and out through the sinks gets reprocessed to a high standard, but not high enough for drinking water, and it's actually sent out to the sea from Tuscular. We've got such a small city, we don't have to recycle our sewage.
But Helsinki probably does.
Possibly.
St. Petersburg, we were told that they do that, but the water quality that they obtain doesn't go high enough that you could actually drink it. So
Yeah.
it's like you're
Yeah.
not allowed to drink tap water.
Yeah.
Usually water you
Yeah.
can drink is-
Okay, let's see what Mr. Vsauce has
First
to
things
say.
first, where is outer space?
I wonder.
Well, outer space happens to be about 100,000 meters above your head. At that point, the atmosphere is so thin that in order to achieve lift, an aircraft has to travel at a speed so quickly that that speed is the same as an orbital speed. An orbital speed is a speed that is so fast, even with no lift, even while falling, you don't. Because the Earth literally curves away from you as fast as you fall towards it. This is what astronauts in the International Space Station are really doing. They're falling. It's a common misconception that astronauts float around weightless in space because there is no gravity there. But there's plenty of gravity. In fact, there's pretty much the same amount of gravity operating on them that there is operating on you right now while you watch this video. Believe it or not, if we built a tower all the way up to where the International Space Station orbits, 370,000 meters high, and you walked out onto the top of that tower, it would feel kind of like this. You would just be walking around like I'm walking right now. You wouldn't feel that much different, but the International Space Station would be whizzing by at 17,000 miles per hour. It has to, because they are falling. So to say that astronauts float around in orbit because they are experiencing zero gravity is very misleading. Really what they are feeling is zero G, where G is acceleration
Spelling.
felt as weight. G, hertz.
Okay, let me just explain this fact that
Concussion.
they what?
It's a concussion on there.
Okay, they have got 0G but not 0 gravity. That's really important.
There's being gravity difference.
So,
0 is not equal to
Because
0
there's the
gravity.
sun's gravity.
no,
Well, yes, it
Okay.
does have its own gravity, but
they are falling at the same rate the Earth is dropping away from them.
and this is how the
Now, watch, because this is actually quite hard to explain. I'm going to
Wait.
use a little image. Okay, imagine that you are throwing a ball with a super-powered arm. Whee, there we go. Yeah. So imagine that you can throw that, I don't know, 10 kilometers.
Oh God.
Yeah, really, really powerful. But actually, you're not just throwing it 10 kilometers, you're throwing it a little more because the Earth is curved. So actually, you've thrown it, but the Earth's dropped down a little bit, and you might have thrown it a centimetre extra because of the curvature of the Earth. Does that make sense?
yes.
Yeah.
Yeah? Okay, now imagine that you launch a rocket up to here and then you throw a ball. And it's a bit like this. It's travelling parallel to the Earth. But in fact, as soon as it goes over a bit of the Earth, because the Earth is curved, the ball is falling in. So it's still got gravity pulling it towards the centre of the Earth, but it's actually in orbit. It's not meant to drop. And it stays the same height above the Earth as it orbits round. That's what's happening with the International Space Station.
God.
Karen, you know advanced physics. Like, how can I mean, like, how does
This is
Yeah.
pretty mind-blowing. You ask anybody what gravity is in the International
Yeah.
Space Station, and they usually say 0, and they're wrong. This is advanced stuff.
no? But I mean, like, how do spaceships, rockets work? As like, you can't accelerate in a vacuum.
You can accelerate in a vacuum.
Why can't you accelerate in a vacuum?
We can.
Yeah, but
You
why?
use a
Why
jet
would you not?
inside.
What?
If you use a jet rocket, the jet rocket gives you forward thrust. You can operate jets in vacuums. Right, back to this. So this is a really difficult concept. When you are falling towards the centre of the Earth, you are actually feeling weightless. You look confused. Does it not? Does it?
No, I understand.
You understand? Okay. So imagine
You're technically in free fall. then.
you are in a box up there. Yeah.
I like being boxed.
Yeah. So you are stood.
I'm gonna go up to my dad.
Yeah, with gravity pulling you down. Yeah. But if you jump a little bit,
You hit the head. You hit the ceiling.
or you push away from the sides, you are still falling like a parachutist in free fall, but this box is falling at the same rate around you.
So it's basically like you're free falling, but you're never hitting the ground.
Yeah. Yeah, because the ground is curved
Yeah.
away from you.
I wanna go to
Really, really
space.
neat.
I wanna-
Now, actually, when you are in a lift, big, tall building, if you're in a lift and someone cuts the cables and you jump a little bit off the floor of the lift,
You're gonna go.
you'd be in this situation here. Because the box would be falling, you would be falling, yeah, only the box and you are separated. And the first thing that you'd notice is your head being hit by the top of the lift as the
And
lift
then-
stops, but you don't.
Alright.
Yeah.
The like free fall thing that they have in like amusement parks. I've had this experience where because of the sudden drop, it's like I've been dropping without actually hitting being connected
Yeah.
to the bars of it and like
Yeah.
or the seat in any way.
Yeah.
So falling at equivalent speeds.
Yeah.
You have to leave at the exact same time.
Is it possible to
You
Get
are
back.
boxed.
get your legs back on the lift? like go back down
Oh, yeah.
before the like stops?
Yeah. If you can start to turn, you're in a really difficult situation that you could start to turn your body and try and swim through the air, then you might be able to do it, depending on how tall the building is. But lift cables don't break that easily, even in the tallest buildings.
You're another.
Ever if the lift like falls and you could just just no, it was like this, I can't remember, but you should lie down.
Yeah, that would be the best thing. Just try and lie on the floor a bit. Okay, so 0
where
G.
G is acceleration felt as weight. G hurts. So good. Because gravity's limiting influence ensures that we develop correctly and healthily. After all, it is what we were born to thrive in. So asking what a human would look like if conceived, gestated, delivered, and raised in orbit would look like requires a discussion of weightlessness. Realistically, people building colonies on planets beyond Earth or traveling through space for long periods of time who expected new humans to be born would utilize technology that helped mimic conditions here on Earth. But until artificial gravity is perfected and can be easily implemented, it's important to understand the effect weightlessness has on our biology and other things. For instance, in a zero-G environment, hot air doesn't rise. So a candle flame is not shaped like a stretched ball of glowing gas that's drawn upward. Instead, it's just a round ball of hot gas. We are not sure we can make babies in space. The logistics of merely hugging are difficult enough. A recent invention called the two-suit might make it easier. The two-suit provides effortless intimacy in weightless environments, such as outer space or on planets with low gravity. But will it be enough to ensure that conception happens? The enzyme responsible for stopping the movement of a sperm cell's tail doesn't work very well when they're at 0G. In space, sperm swim faster. One thing we know about babies inside mothers in space involves the development of the vestibular system, canals in the inner ear that use the flow of fluid to determine movement up versus down and balance. In a 0G environment, the fluid in the vestibular system just floats around. It's confused, and this can lead to motion sickness, visual illusions, and disorientation. It's called space adaptation syndrome, and it affects about 50% of astronauts. Confusion about motion can make you vomit, car sick, seasick, 0G sick because of survival. It's believed that motion sickness, a confusion about acceleration, is similar to the effects caused by the consumption of poisonous plants, in which case vomiting can save your life. Pregnant rats taken to space give birth to babies back on Earth that struggle with directions. Unlike rat babies that gestated here on Earth, the ones that gestated in space have trouble righting themselves when thrown into water. They do tend to be better at processing orientations common during weightlessness, which is a good sign for humans, gestated and born and raised in space, but it's some of the only good news. Vestibular fluid isn't the only fluid to be affected by a 0G environment. All of your body fluids are. On Earth, gravity pulls those fluids down, but in orbit, the fluid is free to evenly distribute, giving astronauts their characteristic bird legs and puffy faces. Cosmetically, it's kind of a bummer, and all of that new fluid pressure in your face can compromise vision. Of 27 astronauts studied after long space flights, 9 had fluid expansion around the optic nerve, 6 had eyeballs flattened in the back by fluid pressure, and 4 had bulging optic nerves. More fluid pressure in your head causes an errant message that your body must have too much fluid. So the bodies of 0G travelers respond by producing less blood. astronauts can lose up to 22% of their total blood volume while in space, leading to weaker, atrophied hearts. Away from Earth's protection, radiation from the sun and the rest of the universe is incredibly dangerous, and we're still not exactly sure how to best guard against it. Mice exposed to levels of radiation expected during interplanetary journeys showed signs of different brain blood flow and larger plaques of the type found in patients with Alzheimer's. Psychologically, feelings of isolation in space, thinking about just how far away you are from the rest of humanity, can affect you physically. Scientists working at the South Pole have developed compromised immune systems with fewer T cells. As for the shape of your body, fully grown astronauts in orbit, no longer pressed down by Earth's typical G-force, experience spinal expansion, sometimes growing by as much as 3% before they come back to Earth. A 6-foot-tall human can go to space and come back as a 6-foot-2-inch tall person. Without usual and necessary stress, bones in space atrophy at a rate of about 1% per month. Given enough time, total bone mass lost can be as high as 40 to 60%. And when weightless, you don't need as much muscle strength to move around. This causes the muscles of people weightless in space to atrophy. Those that you use to fight gravity can shrink 5% per month for a total muscle mass loss of 20%. It's all kind of scary and sad, but don't bother crying over it, because without 1G to pull them down, tears don't work the same way in space.
That's depressing.
It is, isn't it?
Still go.
You'd still
Especially
go.
if you can't,
I
yeah,
guess.
especially if you can't like handle high pressure.
You need to bring some dumbbells to
Yeah.
space to work out.
Yeah,
Well,
what
you'd have to
good
bring
will
one-
that do you?
You'd have to bring one more
Absolutely none.
ones.
It's a real problem. I mean, imagine going into space, right? These guys, I don't know, there's 6 of them up there at the moment or so. We could look it up. You could, because they've got a live feed, which is pretty amazing.
Let's look it up.
And they have to work hard. They have to work hard really to do exercise. So they've got exercise bikes that have got very, very big, heavy wheels on them that are dense, and they move with a band, and they can work out doing that. Their treadmills are actually attached to them with elastic, so that they can run, because one guy did the London Marathon at the same time as the London Marathon last year. He's got the world record for running a marathon in space.
I
He's
wonder
the only
why.
one who did it, yeah. So, yeah, it is scary. Right, you can have a 3-minute stretch break
Where we
the
will
riddle.
get a
Righto.
riddle.
at the end.
Good job. Is this 3 minutes?
They should bring along.
The white one is.
Oh.
Bring along space. I don't want to.
It's about 6 months.
That's more.
It's
still 6 people because last Thursday, 2 came.
I know.
Did they?
Yeah.
Let's have a
I
look.
don't know why, but I really do. Especially, when we go with that, so then I go down without.
I went to an extra.
Karen,
Like if you go reverse, it's even worse.
Karen, if they took like protein tablets and vitamin D tablets, then their muscles and bones would be fine because they just take vitamin D.
No, because think about it, your bone mass will go less, so you'll be taller, sure. But then you're gonna be like, if somebody goes like this to you.
But you can work out and then take vitamin D tablets.
I know, but if somebody goes like,
Calcium.
if somebody goes like this to you, or if somebody goes like this to you, you could possibly break your spine just in work out.
That's not, you need to spend every day, you spend 1 hour, like 11 bands, downwards 1 side. It does, because the reason you're supposed to talk about it.
Tuli vielä illallakin vanhemmilla eurossa. No ei ihan varmana, kun Viiki sanoi laittaa mun. Molemmat jää kiinni. Me hiihettiin samalla. Mä sanoin kuule Eeva Moonikalle. Kysytäänpä siinä. Joo, nauru. Se on odottanut se syntymäpäivän joulukuussa, se saa salilla 15 ruokaa. Ja sit se käy salilla, koska se ei ole saa ennen 15 ruokaa.
Okay.
Enjoy yourself then.
Mä haistattelin sille.
Riddle.
It was.
It's just a bit small. Yeah, Mars is smaller than Earth. Wow.
Right, they've just had a handover in the last few days, but when they hand over, they have some people from the previous mission stay. So they've just had 5 new astronauts go up a few days ago, and then 3 or so of the previous lot will have gone. So in total there's 6. Right, it's actually on the dark side of the Earth at the moment. That's the view. It's
Real
night time
time.
where they are because they are there. That's
So
night.
is this
Pacific Ocean.
Yeah.
So
Oh, they're not
sleeping?
going over Finland.
They don't go over Finland.
They go to Russia though.
Usually, yeah. Yeah, we never see the International Space Station.
And then Russia puts a missile.
Russia wouldn't.
Right, actually, I'm going to break my promise. We'll do the riddle in the last few minutes of the lesson, just because I'm getting a bit worried about the time. Now, G. We've talked about low G.
0 G.
How about high G?
High G.
Now.
Hitting the ground is very hard, breaking your bones and dying.
High G is something.
All right, your first ride is going to be that gradual onset ride to a maximum of 7 Gs. Are you ready?
Is that, do you mean G by acceleration?
Are you ready?
Is G like acceleration?
So these are fighter pilots in training to experience high acceleration.
Like going downwards, like, you know, falling?
I'll talk about how it's done in a minute.
If you lose all the green, tell me now and start that lower body straight, okay?
Okay.
Squeeze those legs nice and tight. 1, 2, 3. Looking real good. Squeeze those legs nice and tight.
Not yet, not yet. It's only 2 Gs. It's only 2 Gs.
You should feel like you're going straight up in the air at this point.
3 Gs, 4 Gs.
Which is breathing an airplane as well.
2, 1, engage. Back on the stick. On top. On top, breathe. You're on top, breathe. You're on top, breathe.
Okay, big breath, lock on it.
You're on top, breathe.
Hold.
On top, breathe. 1, 2, 3.
1, 2,
5
3.
Gs.
Look to your breath.
1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3.
Oh God, it's so crazy.
3.
Right?
Legs tight. Butt tight. Breathe.
1, 2, 3.
1, 2.
That's so crazy.
Okay. Stay tight. Stay tight. Stay tight. Stay
Oh,
tight.
he's dead.
He passed out.
Hello? Are you with me?
He's dead.
Coming back around? Hello?
Oh, did they already
How you doing? Hello, Will?
Hello.
Will, sit up.
I'm up.
Sit up.
I'm up.
You're up.
Oh, yo.
Put your head up.
It is up.
Put your head up.
Oh.
Do you know what happened?
Yeah.
You ain't lost. Yeah. Snap him.
I'm taking out you on.
All right.
Alright. At what speed would or what is the airplane at when it's
But they have helmets, so it's not that fast.
like when the takeoff and landing?
Right, an ordinary aircraft.
Yeah, like ordinary airplane.
Yeah, but they
Normally they have helmets.
I think it's 2.5, 3, something like that, tiny. So, no, they're not actually going in a straight line. They're not being dropped towards the Earth, because that would only be producing a G of 1. Okay.
So it's 7 times.
So, how do you get those Gs? Pilot training.
In India.
Centrifuge. Okay, I want
9G. Oh,
yeah.
9G, hitting the ground at
Okay.
9G would kill you. Most likely.
In the ground at 1G will kill you if you have a certain height.
So it's
It's achieved by spinning.
So it's abbreviation for acceleration like G? Or what is it?
Hang on.
I want to try that.
Okay, so that's how the acceleration is achieved. Right, what was your question?
What is G again?
Right, G is another name for acceleration.
Okay, so
Now, ordinary acceleration that we experience on Earth when we jump out of an airplane
yeah.
is 1G. That's 10 meters per second squared. Yeah? They were going up, pilot training will take them up to 90 meters per second squared. 9 times G. Now, you experience G-forces when you are on an aeroplane and you're taking off. When you're being pushed into the seat, that moment of massive, or the most acceleration, that's when you are experiencing a G-force. And also when
How
landing,
many G's? What?
I think it's about 2.5, 3, something like that. Now, those pilots and astronauts will be taken up to about 9G, at which point any normal unfit human being who has not been trained for it is probably going to die.
Yeah.
Okay, I would probably be unconscious at about 3G if my brain just can't cope with it. I can't cope with accelerations and decelerations because of my balance system. But you saw those guys who you could see, their faces being pushed, etc., etc. And in fact, you don't experience it on fairground rides or anything like that, but your muscles lock together. Your heart isn't used to pumping at 90 against 90 Gs, so the blood doesn't go to your head. You lose consciousness, and it's really, really not pleasant. Now, if you are going to become a fighter pilot, it is fully expected that if you are in combat where you are pulling the Gs, you are turning very, very rapidly, it is fully expected that you are going to black out.
And die.
And you are in control of a multi-million euro aeroplane. So when you see those Hornets, the aeroplanes whizzing around up in the sky, when they're doing their maneuvers,
Admire them.
they do them, admire them. If they're doing them too tight, they actually are going to be unconscious.
It's like when you're coming down to Earth and you quickly pull off.
Yeah.
Then
These guys, however, do it for fun.
The Red Bull Air Race pilots must be able to handle extreme G-forces.
G-force is much like driving your car around a tight corner where you feel yourself pushed in the seat. When we're flying in the Red Bull Air Race, we're pulling up to 10 Gs as we make the pull-up. This is the weight of 10 times your body being pushed down on top of you. When you pull Gs, you're working against your pump or your heart, so it makes it harder for this heart to pump the blood up In order to, help this, what we do is we make our muscles tight, or we contract, we strain maneuver, so we can help push the blood up to our head, which will keep us conscious. If you have less oxygen to your eyes, you cannot see as well. We lose color. Everything becomes black and white. Plus, we lose our peripheral vision, and it gets very narrow. So you can feel these things as happen to you as you start to pull. And this would be an indication that, hey, maybe I need to ease off a little bit, because if I continue to pull, it's lights out. It's all black. Normally, I pull 10 Gs. I think over 12 Gs is maybe a little bit too much. You can pull muscles, you can perhaps lose consciousness briefly, so about 12 Gs is enough.
Karen?
Mad. About 12 Gs is enough. Yeah, that's just
Karen?
Absolutely crazy. Really?
In America, we went to Six Flags, and there's a ride called Goliath.
Yeah.
And we went on it, and it had like some sharp turns, and you actually lost like some of them. It went really blurry, everything around you.
Right. Scary. Whenever you experience something that takes you around the corner very, very quickly, or up and down, that's when you're going to be pulling the G-forces.
Roller coasters.
It's actually not, roller coasters. It's actually not that bad if you fall, believe it or not. But it's the change of direction that is pretty bad. But I mean, you can get a similar effect if you're just spinning round and round and round, and then your brain can't cope with it. Yeah.
Last summer I went to an iFly in Canada. It's like a free fall simulator, and the feeling in the free fall simulator wasn't as bad as like being on some roller coasters.
Yeah. When you are accelerating, when you're going around corners, you're spinning or something like that, you not only have that rapid kind of movement of fluid in your brain and your ears, and that's what makes you black out, you also have the feeling of 10 times your body weight on top of you. That's what they said. If you're pulling 10 Gs, it's like having 10 times your body weight. So trying to breathe is actually quite difficult there.
Are you able to talk?
You generally don't. So if you're going to be a fighter pilot, you've got to be trained. Or what the military is now doing, because it costs a lot to train the fighter pilot, and if the aircraft are so fast now in their turns and their combat, that you're actually putting the plane at risk because your pilot isn't fit enough to cope. Just get rid of the pilot. It's easy. Use a drone. And you now have drone pilots who don't leave the ground. The drone pilot, you all know what a drone is.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I can't remember what they're actually called in combat. UAVs?
UAV drones.
UAV, yeah, okay, UAV drones. So we're not talking about these friendly little drones that are up there taking photos. We're talking about the ones that have got a payload. So they've got a bomb here.
Bruh.
UAV drone. So some of you would make absolutely excellent UAV drone pilots.
Maybe.
Because they're basically piloted like in a computer game.
Yeah. Actually, I probably wouldn't be because I crashed mine on purpose.
I have to admit, I find absolutely terrifying.
Huh.
Because, well, where are drones at the moment being used in active combat?
Spying.
Yeah, but where in war? Where are the wars that are going on at the moment? Syria, Afghanistan, Pakistan,
America.
And those are taking off from airfields nearby, but they are actually piloted by people in the USA who leave their families in the morning, kiss their wife and kids or their husband and kids bye-bye. They go to work and sit basically at a big games console
Sweet. Can I have an Xbox?
In response.
And they can actually see the damage they do, and then they go home at night.
And sleep.
Yeah.
While other people die.
Yeah. And it's not, the sad thing is it isn't actually a game anymore. It may feel like it, but actually you can see if you've just killed a child who was walking down the street, because the technology is so good. And I must admit, if I could, in a war, if I could say, right, if you're going to go and fight, you've got to be prepared to actually touch the person you're going to kill and look them in the eyes and still be aware of it.
What about snipers who from very long distances can?
They should make the graphics look like video games, so they think they're just playing video games.
Yeah, but you're not. You're not.
Except the sniper trees.
Really, really scary.
And
So.
the people you're trying to kill isn't like civilians, it's like Donald Trump and everything.
What do you think it would be like to? I've got no idea what this is.
What is that?
It's a car.
It's the film taken from a drone.
Just drop the bomb on it.
So some pilot was following that several thousand kilometers away. Hopefully they've got the right car. So they're flying above it, they drop the bomb.
Bye-bye, those person.
Yeah,
Bye-bye, serial killers.
yeah. It does worry me that technology, the computer games are fun.
Yeah.
You can buy flight simulators, things like that.
Flight simulators are fun.
Yeah. If you walk across the yard now, a satellite can tell that someone is walking across the yard.
And satellites.
Yeah. Yeah. If I drop this piece of paper flat on the yard out there, a satellite can tell that something that is an A4 sheet of paper. Okay, it can't tell the writing, but it can tell that that's been dropped. And they're the satellites that we know about. A lot of military technology is not known about. And we're really, really lucky. We are in a peaceful area. We don't have to dodge drone strikes. But if we'd been in an international school in Syria not that long ago, then we would be.
Yeah.
Well, unfortunately, yeah.
Dead or worse.
And it really does worry me that the psychological impact, I read an article about the psychological impact on these drone pilots who are leaving home, going to work, and they are killing people, and they're being told, that they have to do that. It is traumatic. They are combat soldiers, but they have not actually held the weapon that they're using in their hand.
Well, technically they did, since the controller.
No, they haven't. They haven't. What if you were playing a game and and you got told actually what you have just done is really killed a person? Okay, you can justify it. The country's at war. It's for the greater good. These people are thousands of miles away. You're never going to meet them.
They're gonna kill you if you think they had a chance.
I don't know if I could live with myself doing that.
Depends.
But it was not from
Everybody's that, so I'm just stopping
Where's Donald Trump?
No, it's frightening. It is frightening. So they're money saving, these drones. They don't. The machines are capable of going around all sorts of twisting, turning courses. Give them a map of Manhattan, and the drone can fly around. So it's just that there aren't drones flying around.
Well, technically, you wouldn't give it a map. You'd install the map.
Install Google Maps. Oh God.
Yeah, but isn't it true that you can hack a drone? That one of those drones?
You can.
Yeah, if it's computer controlled, you can hack them. No
It's
problem.
only
Yeah.
built in with like.
You just have to have
viruses.
all that you've got. That you've got as much of a battle of the people writing the code as you have the people dropping the bombs.
Well, also
Because if you hack into a drone, okay, the person's got to develop a patch so that you can cover up the hack. So the cyber war that is also going on, which is possibly even worse because there's no video around, But if you can hack into, I don't know, if you can hack into a water treatment plant control in the USA,
Oh no.
and you can mix the chemicals wrongly, then you can kill thousands of people. God, we've got onto a cheery subject here, haven't we? Sorry about that.
What's wrong with
I
killing?
know.
Dying is part of the natural life process.
Yeah, I'd actually quite like to die naturally rather than have someone kill me off.
No,
me
And I actually believe countries have got the right to allow their people to die naturally rather than being at war with others.
Why would people go to war? I don't get anything.
Because they want more land, or then they have religion.
Well, why don't you just go like, hey, how about like we pay you a lot of money and you give us a little bit more land? How about that? Yeah. Cool.
No, but of course they don't want to give the land to
Well, they
them.
get a
don't.
lot
They
of
own-
money.
Okay.
No, but like.
So, we have
Yeah.
moved on.
I don't think they care.
We
No,
have
no.
moved on.
What if someone hacks into Hillary Clinton's email on classified email?
I think they did that.
It did that. It didn't actually result in anything important.
She could be in jail.
Yeah.
She lied to the FBI, and that can get you in jail.
That can
Money can get you out of jail.
Are you being deliberately provocative to get me talking about Trump?
Yes.
Yeah.
I'm not going to rise to it. It's just too awful a subject to even contemplate.
Oh come on, Trump's Karthik's bro.
Bro, what?
Okay,
It's your bro. I hate
so should we do some? Right. Okay.
The memes are hilarious. Yeah. But
His hair is hilarious.
bing bing bong.
McCarthy.
Ding 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 ding. Bing,
Right.
bing, bong.
Okay. Higher G's. You can write this.
Bing bing bong.
Higher G
The phone is like, oh, come on,
can be felt when an object accelerates by turning corners. Okay. 5G means your body feels 5 times as heavy as normal.
But what is normal?
What is normal? Yeah, that's a very, very, very good question.
As usual.
Okay.
As Karthik.
Alright, not normal. I want to kill it.
Right. Have you got any questions?
Yes, tell
Apart
us
from
the
the
riddle.
riddle. Apart from tell us the riddle. I'm talking any questions about
Karthik,
sensible.
if you want to kill everyone, can you start with yourself first?
No, but the
You
thing
said-
is,
So that is a vile thing to
I was
say.
on everybody.
Ow.
No, like what? I agree with him, but I want to kind of like kill everybody at the exact same time, so that everybody dies all at the same time.
Oh,
I want a new
wait
one.
until the end of the world.
No, but the thing is, I will be alive at the end of the
You never
world.
know.
You won't be sure if
Well,
Karthik,
unless Trump dies, because Trump's gonna
Karthik,
blow up the world when he dies.
You crush her first. That you have to do. And then kill her.
Right,
No, then I'm
guys.
gonna be- then I'm gonna feel bad for like.
Yeah.
Then I'm gonna
Now,
feel bad for
let me
that.
first of all talk about the physics and the test. Okay, this is a good point to stop. Next week, next lesson, when we have a lesson, we've got one big bit of theory to go through, and then I'll do hopefully a little bit of revision before the test itself.
So,
Okay.
so next week we don't have.
Next week we don't have a lesson because
next
we've got a theme week,
Yeah, and then next
theme day. The week after we have a lesson. And then we'll talk about the difference between weight and mass, and we'll do a bit of practice.
So does that mean we end at 12?
I've got no idea.
So we have one more lesson until the test.
One more lesson than the test.
Can we
Right.
make a little riddle?
The riddle.
Yes.
Two people. I've actually got a couple of riddles.
Hey, but
if you get
Karen, if they don't know anything, can I, even with hints, can I say?
Yeah.
You can say.
Right. I've got to get this right, haven't I?
Yes.
Ow.
A woman goes to her mother's funeral. She meets a man there and falls instantly in love with him. 2 days later, she murders her sister.
Ah,
You know it.
no?
You know it.
I think
Why?
I've heard the riddle. but
Okay.
not that.
Okay. No, but so why? Why did she murder her sister?
Yeah, why did she?
The man is the sister's husband's boyfriend.
Okay, you know what? Get out.
Was it right?
No.
Oh, okay. The sister is what?
It's something to do with the funeral. She gets possessed.
Look, you need to brainstorm like they're doing. That's how they get it.
But that's like one of the only reasons.
No.
Wait, so let me get this straight. So a
No.
man walks to her mother's funeral.
No.
A woman?
Look, a woman goes to her mother's funeral, and she meets a really handsome man.
Yeah.
2 days later, she murdered her sister. Why did she do that?
Just say no sanotutta. Kiitos, no sano.
Hey,
Was her sister in disguise?
don't say.
It's mainly the funeral, like, I mean, like.
Like what happened at the funeral?
Hold on.